All right, Tawal Kakiao, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Amel. And glad everybody was able to make it tonight. I literally just walked in the door about a minute and a half ago. I just drove back from Batosh and the weather was a little sketchy. So they're having a Michif camp out at Batosh, and so they asked me and some of my Michif mentors to teach a little bit up there. So we had a great time. We had a really good time. We learned a little bit of Michif and Gimachinan and Vashta Prairie. We hunted a bison. Well, I didn't hunt it, but I got to see the bison being dressed and prepped. They're going to have a feast tonight. So, and it was so nice to see some people from this club up at Batosh. Tafim, in fact, was there. And before I left, I said to Tafim, if I'm late, you're going to have to teach the class, Tafim. Which she would have been capable of doing because Tafim is kind of a Michif superstar. So anyway, I saw lots of different types of weather as I was driving back home. So I thought I would share with you what I saw, what I saw. And you can tell me if you know what I saw in terms of weather. So Giwapahten Shohke Kimowan. What do you think I saw? Shohke Kimowan.
Some sort of rain?
Yeah, really, really hard rain. So the adjective shoke is it's a good adjective to know. It means hard, or really, really fervent, I guess you could say. So shoke, you can put shoke in front of anything, and it means you're hard. So shoke kimawan is a hard rain, or you could say, oh shoke atoshkan, I work hard. Just kidding, I really do work hard. Yeah, you can put it in front of just about anything. What else did I see? Oh, giwahpaten mischetli zikler. Mischetli zikler. Lizicler. Kekwai lizicler. What is lizicler?
Lightning.
Yeah, lightning. And mischet is lots. So mischet lizicler. Lots of lightning. Igwa apshish. Lagrel pachkashin. Apshish lagrel pachkashin.
Hail?
Yeah, hail. So apshish is a little bit, and lagrel pachkashin is hail. So saw a bit of that. What else did we see? Oh, shohke yutin. Shohke yutin.
Windy.
Yeah, really, really windy. One of my Michif mentors was sitting in the back seat and she says, are you hydroplaning? I was kind of hydroplaning, but I told her, no, we're all good. So there a little bit of that. And what else did we see? Oh, Ikwashkwan. Ikwashkwan, Mishowe. Anybody know Ikwashkwan?
Cloudy.
Cloudy, really, really cloudy.
Clouds.
Yeah, lots of clouds. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird storm. It hasn't really hit my neighborhood here in Regina yet, but certainly I think it's on its way. So lots of interesting weather coming back from Batosh. Maka gimuch kehtanan, but I had a really good time, so I'm glad I went. Last class, I gave you a little bit of homework, and your homework was to think of some things that we haven't quite gotten to yet, or that isn't maybe in the course line, or the course outline, if you've taken a look at what we'll be doing for lesson 10. Lesson 10, I've got planned as sort of a review lesson. But if there's anything that you're really burning to learn in terms of Michif, I'd love to hear it now so that I can incorporate it into our very last lesson, Lutzemen, next week. So any burning desires? You can either shout them out or you can put them in the chat.
Tanchikia mon ami.
Hey, long time no see. Kayash Samson. Giwapamo Samson Anush.
Oh man, we had so much fun with Russ and Irma and Larry. They're such great teachers. If you ever get the chance to, we'll keep doing this class. This is awesome too, but in person's lots of fun too. But anyways, what I wanted to know is if you had any more games that are interactive for students and learning. Like we did some really cool animal ones today, or we reviewed what they look like and their names, and then we went and Russ put them all on the ground, and then he would say, he said a word, say like, "Go find this one" or something like that, and then you have to
Domishkamuk.
Domishkamuk,
Yeah,
yeah,
go and find it.
Domishkamuk, yeah, or Domishko if you're just talking to one person. Anyways,
Yep.
that was fun. Then we did charades. Oh, that was hilarious. They went all out. They were on the ground getting dirty, and
Samson had to pretend to be Encriche, which is a cricket.
oh, I did a horrible job. I thought that was a grasshopper, so I was flying around like that's not a good cricket. That was fun though. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I like. But we'll let the
Cool.
rest-
I can definitely talk a little bit about that next week. Anything else that you're dying to know that we haven't learned yet?
I'd like to know more about animals, like
Okay.
types of animals. Like
Cool.
you were just mentioning cricket, but how do you say salamander?
So salamander, we would just say un petit lézard.
Yeah, that's what that's what I thought, but I
Yep.
wasn't sure if that was correct or not.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yep. Sure, we can definitely review animals. I think if you've got a little bit of French background, animals are quite easy for you because most of our animals in Michif come from French words. There are a couple exceptions where we use Cree words instead of French words, like a bat. A bat is in Bakwana Chish, which is a very Cree sounding word, obviously. And sometimes when there are animals that exist that we never saw or that the old people never saw, like in Michif land, wherever that is, then what they'll do is they'll describe the animal instead of creating a new word for it. So like something like a rhinoceros. I don't know what the Michif word for rhinoceros is, but it would probably be like a large animal with one horn, that sort of thing. But we can definitely review some common animals from Saskatchewan next week. Absolutely. Anything else?
I like the idea if we could learn about like some a few more berries or like the foods that we would eat.
Okay, can do that. Plants, berries, and maybe la michin, which is medicine. Some medicines. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, I don't know how shy people are about singing, but my Kokum and her sisters used to sing like songs to little babies. Not exactly lullabies, but like maybe some lullabies, but other like playing songs. If there was like a Michif like little baby song, I think that could be cool if others are into it.
Yeah, there's we sang a lot today, Samson. Yeah, Ginakamonan, we sang lots of songs, and one of the songs that I might break out next week. I've been a little hesitant to break out songs, to be honest, just because I'm not sure how that'll work on a Zoom. But I can definitely introduce you to a real traditional Michif song called Kishben Kashakihin, which is something that a lot of you probably heard growing up. It means if you love me, kiss me now. And yeah, I can break that out next week for sure.
Yeah, Russ shared some really good ones with us. Like that one, Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes is pretty chill. And then my group did Maria Yao and Chimoiton. So Mary had a little lamb. I'll give you a little taste of it. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it, Samson.
All right, we'll see. I'm just learning it, so but it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. Mari ayao am chimoiton, chimoiton, chimoiton. Mary ayao am chimoiton, sakapo se comme la neige. Tant de marica etutiet, etutiet, etutiet. Tant de marica etiotit la moition wiche wow. Wiche wiu. It's there's some really cool different sounds in this one, like that one, and then there's also they say these are fagi papi wak mate we wak pe pape wak these are fagi pape wak che wapa machik limaton. So like pretty cool. There's like 3 other verses. That one's a fun one to learn. And yeah, the first one is really good. That's challenging too. But what other one was there? Was that all of them?
So we did Kishpin, we did Miriam Jim Watun, Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, and Kia Mon Sole, which is You Are My Sunshine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. So that one would be really good. I think Nicole, that You Are My Sunshine. Ia mo sale, yank mo sale, emiya ten tan spiles yel gri, na mo ka kishketan tan sheka shakita hetan, yashipwete mo sale. So anyway.
Good job, Samson.
Merci. Merci.
And that was pretty good. We got serenaded. Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely break out 1 or 2 of those next week for sure. Anything else before we get to our lesson for tonight that you're dying to know about?
Maybe not so much what we can learn, but ideas on how to share what we've learned.
Okay. Yes, language is no good if you don't share it. And in fact, I found in my own experience that, even though I don't consider myself completely fluent, I do co-teach Michif. And I think that's honestly the best way to learn a language is by teaching it. Because man, it definitely puts the pressure on, that's for sure. Yeah, in a good way. Yeah. Cool. I will, yeah.
Russ,
Yep.
also how to, like we're having an informal family reunion here in a few weeks. And I've got some old aunties yet, and some of them are skeptical about us trying to learn the language. Because they think that, they're just quite critical of how you pronounce and that type of thing. So, I want to be positive about it because there's younger ones that are going to be there too. And just some ideas about that and how to engage them more about that.
How to engage some of the older speakers in your community?
Yeah, in the family. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenging one. And I think there's definitely some tips that I can think of, but I also think that because every family is unique, and every family has its own challenges and strengths, and that'll look slightly different in every family. But one thing I will say, and I see this, I've seen it both in my family, but also in my students' families for the past 15 years, is the more you model pride and the more that you exhibit pride, the more it starts to come out in your family. I think for many, many different historical reasons, many of our people are what I like to call closeted Michifs. They hide who they are because they were told most of their lives that their culture and their language is not real and not useful. And I found that the best way to sort of tease that pride out of them is to be proud yourself. And it just sort of starts to spread like, I don't know, like some kind of disease, or but a good disease. That pride starts to sort of inch its way. And then what happens is, and my students always say this, they'll be talking about their genealogy, or they'll be talking about their language or culture. And then like after a couple months, they'll come into my classroom and they'll be like, oh, I got this one auntie and she's never admitted she's Métis before. And all of a sudden she was trying to teach me this jazzy Métis song last night. Like it just comes out. And I think pride is contagious. Because those people that are closeted, they used to be proud. They were proud people once too. And the world kind of kick that pride out of them for a whole bunch of reasons. But we can definitely talk about that. I'm super interested to know from you as a group if you have had that experience, if you have teased pride out of your family, and how did you do that?
I'll share a story. It's about like, I was asking about a little kid song, and like I have this interview I did with my great aunt Mary, who's for my Kokominal, her sisters and her brother, their first language is Michif. They grew up in QV. And so I remember wanting to learn more about the language, 20 years ago. And so my aunt did an interview with me, and I audio recorded it. And she tried to teach me a few words. And then what she said, it wasn't about not being proud, at least what she said to me that day. She said, and this makes me actually sad to say it, but it's part of the work we're doing here, right? Is she said, well, it's really hard to speak it if there's no one else to rattle it off with. Okay. And so she showed me, she taught me a few words, and then at the end she had her little granddaughter there with her, and then she sang her this baby song in Michif. It was like she could do that, but she couldn't, she just, was never a teacher, and she said she didn't have another language speaker, and she was explaining to me that's why it was hard. That's all I have to share about that. Thank you.
Such a good point, Nicole, about how it can be very lonely if you're the only speaker in a family or in a community. It's like, well, I'm not going to speak. I got nobody to speak to. So, yeah, I definitely think that is a reality. And, again, the more you sort of start to drop the odd Michif word here and there, and it'll be, well, maybe I do have somebody that I can work with and teach and share some words with. So yeah, that's, it's a sad reality. One of the other things that I wanted to note that this is both a sad and good thing, I guess, but there's a lot of non-Métis people in this class. And I think that that's awesome, because the sad reality is that sometimes when other people want to learn our culture or language, they kind of legitimize stuff. Like it's gross to say that sometimes non-Indigenous people have to legitimize us, but it's also kind of a reality, because what it is for the old people is like non-Indigenous people, shamed us for so long, and now they want to learn about us. They want to share our culture and they want to share our language. So that's kind of changing some perspectives too among some of our old people, les vieux puis les vieilles, our old men and our old women. So it's really nice to see non-Indigenous people in here and making the effort. And it also says to some of our own people that if non-Indigenous people can learn this language, you can too, and you should. So, all right. So I got a good list for next week. We'll do some games, some animals, learn some plants, sing a couple songs, and we'll talk about some ideas on how we can all share the language for sure. All right. Well, moving right along to tonight's lesson, we're going to start the way that we always start, which is introduction review. Okay. So I'm hoping by this point, we've learned how to say, hello to everybody. Tanche kia. Learn how to say your name. Ras Tashineka Shon. You've learned how to say where you are from. La Valley Katapwe Doshjin. You've learned how to say where you live. And I can see that Aliyah is asking me, how do you say Paila Bones? It's Opashtau Lizu, and I can put that in the chat. So I would say Opashtau Lizu Newikin. And then we've also taught you how to say, who are you related to? So Newako Mawak, Li Fayan, Li Raset, on and on and on. So I'll put the Opashtau Lizu in the chat. Pile of bones. So yeah, somebody want to try and share your introduction? And again, you can share as much as you're comfortable sharing. And if you can share all of it, that would be amazing.
Sure, I can try.
Awesome.
I missed the last 2 weeks, so I apologize. I might have to glance down at my notes more than I should at this point.
No worries.
Tanchi Kiwa, Stephen Dishnikashun, Saskatoon Duschin Opushta Lizu ni Weekend, ein Mitra di Kolnia ni Atoshkan por University of Regina.
Perfect. Awesome, Stephen. Yeah, really good pronunciation. Anybody else want to give it a shot? Denise? P. Danielle?
Danielle.
All right.
Yeah. Tanshi Danielle Dishnikashan. San Francois Xavier, P. Portage la Prairie, Duchesne, P. Minneapolis, New Weekend. Nawakuniwak, Lee Pelletiers, Lee Lapierres, Lee Gagnons, Lee Delormes, P. Lee Nadons. Merci.
Awesome. Kimiototen. Good job. Danielle, you gonna get, or Denise, you gonna give it a go?
Denise Dishnikashan, Edmonton, Doshin, Minneapolis, New Weekend, et La Famille.
C'est la même de moi.
Speaking French, maybe there's another way to say it.
Yeah,
same as her.
That's perfect. Yep. No, that's perfect. Good job. Anybody else want to give it a shot here?
I'll give it a go.
All right.
Debbie Dishnikashin, Rivière Rouge, Dochin, Lucia Niwikin, sorry, Ni Wakamawak, Li Allery, Li Henry, Li Lafontaine, Li Amiot, Accouché.
Good job. We might be cousins. We have a lot of the same family names. I'm also related to Amiots and LaFontaine. So, all right. Okay, let's take a look at tonight's lesson, which is, well, we did a review of introductions. We're going to take another look at verb conjugation. So I've given you some new verbs that I haven't given you yet. So we're just going to go through and I'll get you to repeat after me so that you can see the pattern. So the first one is a really, really handy verb. You'll use it a lot in Michif. It's the verb to make something, but it can also be to fix something. And that's oshehta. Oshehta. So I make something is ne oshehtan. You make something ke oshehtan. I made something gi oshehtan. And I will make something nawi oshehtan. Osheta is an irregular verb, so usually he or she would end in eo, but because it's irregular, it ends in ao. So he is or she is making something is oshetao. Oshetao. Ki oshetao. And we oshetao. They are making something is oshetawak. Oshetawak. Remember, when you see wak, you're talking about those people. Okay? Past tense, it's ki oshetawak. And future, we oshetawak. And we are making something is ni oshehtanan. Remember, when you see on the end of a word, you're always talking about we. Okay, so past tense is gi oshehtanan. And future is nawi oshehtanan. So the next verb is to help. And that verb, the root of it is wichehewe. Wichehewe. So I am helping is nawichehewan. Gi wichehewan. And nawi wichehewan. He or she is helping is wicheheo. Sorry, wicheheweo. Wicheheweo. They helped, or he or she is helping, or sorry, he or she helped, past tense. Ki wicheheweo. And future, we wicheheweo. They are helping, wichehewewak. Ki wichehewewak. And we wichehewewak. Don't get caught up by the fact that they're getting longer. Just break it up. We che he we wak. Okay. And then the we is ni wichehewanan. Ni wichehewanan. Gi wichehewanan. And nawi wichehewanan. It's like calisthenics for your lips, eh? Like one of my mentors always says that you shape your mouth differently when you speak Michif, and I believe it, because sometimes I'm like, holy, my lips are tired. Speaking a lot of Michif today. Here's another really handy verb. It's quite common, just as common as it is in English, and that's the verb to get something. and that is nata. Nata. So I get something is ninaten. And you get something is kinaten. He or she gets something is natam. Natam. They get something is natamwak. And we get something is ninatenan. So I got a couple more here. There's just 3 more on the next page. I tried to find, sorry, it's a little blurry here. I tried to find verbs that are kind of useful that you might use on a regular basis, but.
Hey, Russ.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let everyone know that if this is the first time you're seeing some of these verbs, it might be like, whoa, there's so much going on. But I will tell you this, and Russ gave a good teaching. The best way to become a good Michif learner and speaker is to listen. So don't worry about trying to memorize all this. Just listen and say how he's saying it. And maybe it's not going to click today, but maybe you take another class with Russ down the road and then, oh, now I get it. You let it kind of marinate in your brain. You got to practice it too. So that's another thing. Anyways, sorry about that, Russ.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And what I would say is that I really don't expect you to memorize any of these verbs in a couple weeks. It takes time. But what I think this exercise is helpful for is for learning the pattern of verb conjugation. Because once you understand the pattern, it doesn't really matter what verb you learn, you'll know how to conjugate it. So that's really the point of this exercise. But yeah, it takes time, like in learning any language. So yeah, the verb paminake is to drive, but it can also mean to manage something, like to manage an office or to manage a group of people. But 90% of the time when you hear paminake, it means actually driving. Okay, so I drive is ne paminekan. He or she is driving, paminekeo. They are driving, paminekewak. And we are driving, ni paminekanan. And as usual, the endings don't change from present to past or future. The only thing that changes is in the past, you need to add either gi or ki. And in the future, remember, you're on that roller coaster to the future. No-wee! If you missed that lesson, you're going to have to ask later. Excuse me. Okay, another verb is to cut. So anosh gimanasho wakli buffalo. We cut the buffalo today. Dressed it really, but yeah, we were cutting it. So that's manasha. So I cut is nemanashen. You cut ke manashen. He or she cuts is manasham. They cut manashamwak. And we cut nemanashenan. And that's cutting anything. It could be you're cutting your hair, les cheveux, you're cutting the grass, le foin, manasha le foin. You're cutting a piece of paper, manasha le papier. Could be anything. And the last one we'll look at is to mend or to sew. So this is a good one for you, Nick, because I know you were asking me, is there a word for like a verb for beating? I've asked 5 different Michifs and they say no. There's no word for beating, but there is a word for sewing. So that's mishaha. But it can also mean to mend something, like mending a hole in a pair of socks or something like that. So if you wanted to say I sew beads, you could say nemishahen lirasad. Lirasad are beads. Or you could say nemishahen le garniture. Le garniture is beadwork. But you can also, if I go up here real quick, you can also use the verb make, right? You could say ne oshehtan le garniture. I make beadwork. So hopefully that helps, Nick. But yeah, either of those verbs you can use for doing beadwork. Anyway, back to sew. So I or you sew is mishahen. He or she sews mishaham. They sew mishahamwak. and wiso nimishahenan. Okay. So just a couple quick little notes about grammar. To be honest, 10 lessons is not enough time for me to really get into Michif grammar. It's as I said many times during these lessons, we draw from two sets of grammar that come from not just two completely different languages, but two completely different language families. And that makes Michif grammar quite complex. But just some really kind of easy to remember rules about Michif. Is generally Michif sentences follow the same word order as English, which is subject, verb, object. So for example, ne manashen le foin. So ne, of course, is the subject. Manashen is the verb. And the object is le foin. I cut the grass. Now, often people will say, can I say le foin ne manashen? Can I switch the order? Absolutely, you can. You know, most fluent Michif speakers will say it like this, but I've never, ever been corrected if I switch the order. And in fact, that was one of the things that Samson and I learned today from some of our old ones, is they were saying it really doesn't matter. Like, that's how flexible Michif is you need to have the correct conjugation, but where you put the object and the subject, it's very flexible. So don't get too caught up in getting the right order. What's important is the right conjugation of the verb. Michif is a contextual language, and it often leaves out pronouns. And we don't really have existential verbs like to be, or I am, or it is. Those things are implied in Michif. And sometimes a whole sentence can be said with one word. So if you just use the verb manasha, generally, if you're in the same room as somebody, they know what you're talking about, and you don't actually have to say the rest of the words. They know that you're saying, oh, he wants me to cut the grass, manasha. Okay. So often it's okay to just say one verb. Another point is that Michif often has specific words and verbs that don't exist in English. So it's really important to sort of get out of that mind frame of being able to translate things word for word, because often you can't in Michif. So example, the phrase wihkishin in Michif, it's actually 3 words put together, which is this is delicious, wihkishin. Okay? And that's all you would say. You wouldn't add extra words there. Sometimes when working with Cree-derived words, the word order will be flipped. So you'll sometimes see object, verb, subject, as in the sentence, kishakehetin. So in this phrase, you're actually putting the subject, which is you first, ke. Shakehe is to love. And the N on the end is the I. So by putting the N on the end of the verb, you actually negate the need for a pronoun. Kishakehetin. So it says, you, I love. Okay. But again, that's pretty flexible. Another point is that there's almost always more than one way to say a sentence, depending on if the speaker is using Cree or French derived words. So for example, there's actually a phrase in Michif for washing the floor. Kishipe is the verb to wash. And so if you're telling somebody wash the floor, you can say kishipe takene, which is a completely Cree phrase. However, you could also say kishipe kene le planchi. Planchi obviously is the French word for floor. So most fluent Michif speakers will understand both of these. And again, you know, one way of looking at that is like, oh my God, there's 3 ways to say everything. That's hard. That's hard. But another way of looking at it is, wow, that makes Michif beautiful and flexible and able to express things in multiple ways. That's kind of a beautiful thing about Michif. Something else you should know is knowing the shortcuts and proper word order takes practice. Nobody expects you to know this stuff in 10 lessons. Hopefully you'll come back and review some of these lessons and review the handouts that you've been given. A good place to begin is in understanding tense, as we've said, and pronoun verb conjugation. That's really your foundation for understanding Michif verbs. And as we've said many, many times, Michif is so forgiving. Fluent speakers are so forgiving. I know that sometimes sometimes you'll have a Michif person say, hey, wait, don't say it like that. And I don't know if you remember, but our very first lesson, I said, Michif is a humbling language because you got to put your pride aside. Because yeah, occasionally someone will laugh at you or someone will say, sure, we don't say it like that. But 90% of the time, a Michif person will just go, oh yeah, I get what you're saying. So kind of got to put your pride aside, but just know that, people are just happy that you're speaking the language. Yeah, so here's an example of word order again. You could say le Michif pikishkwan. So that is literally Michif, I speak. Or you could say ne pikishkwan le Michif, which is literally I speak Michif. Both are okay. And I've heard fluent speakers say both. That's, yeah, very, very flexible language. Okay, let's do some practice here. So what I thought we would do is that, and this is an idea for a game if you're looking for games, but I'm going to give you a random noun in Michif, and I'm going to use my dictionary, which is the Turtle Mountain Michif Dictionary, which I guard with my life because it's very, very difficult to find these days. But I'm just going to randomly flip and point at a noun. And then what I'd like you to do is to use that noun and then use one of the verbs that we've either learned tonight or that you've previously been given and work that into a sentence, and they might be ridiculous. They might be crazy. I don't care. What I want you to do is practice conjugation. Okay. So you're going to pick a random verb. I'm going to give you the noun. And if you want to get fancy, you could throw in adjectives to your sentence. So for example, colors are adjectives like vert. So you could say, oh, gimanashan le foin vert. I cut the green grass, right? You could add in sizes like che, which is small, or gros, which is big. So you could add in a time word if you want. So we've learned hier. What does hier mean?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. All my verbs were so far away. Okay, I'll stop. We've learned demain. What's demain?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I'll conjugate tomorrow. How about anosh?
Russ, you're a singer. You have to sing next time.
Nanakamon. Yeah, I do sing sometimes. What is anosh?
Now.
Yeah, now or today. Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could throw in a lutsemen, which is next week. If you wanted to put it in the past, you could say le semaine passée. The word passé puts anything in the past. So le semaine passée is last week. You could say le mois passé, which is last month. You might even throw in a avant-hier, which is the day before yesterday. So it all depends on whether you're working with past, present, or future tense. And then I've also included a list of prepositions because we haven't really covered prepositions. And again, you don't have to throw these in your sentence, but if you want to get fancy, you could throw in words like on, which is sur, above, which is en l'air, behind, which is en arrière, across from, which is l'autre bord, under, which is en sur, next to or beside, à côté, in front of, devant, near is ara, and far is wahiel. This is the stuff that gets me like super like curious about Michif because it's like, okay, why is near derived from French, but far is derived from Cree? It's almost like they were purposely trying to balance things out. I don't know. Crazy Michifs. Okay, so here's an example of a sentence. So we've learned the verb to drive, which is paminake. And I'm going to put that in the past, and I'm going to say I drove. So gi paminakan mo char ver en arrière notre camper hier soir. So I threw in everything there. I drove my green car behind our camper last night. Okay. So do you get the gist of what I'd like you to do? Yeah. Okay. All right. Are you ready for your first noun? It's going to be crazy. Okay, here we go. If it doesn't work, I'm going to change it, but I'll try to find ones that work. Okay. Rifle. Rifle, which is NFZ. I'll put it in the chat. NFZ. NFZ. Rifle. Okay. Oshipe hetu sentence. Write your sentence. I'll give you about 3 minutes. I'm keeping an eye on the chat if you have any questions.
Hey, Russ, I think I got a good one. Oh. I think you're muted, Russ.
Yeah, go ahead, Samson.
Okay. Guy n'atteint mon fusil pour un vache de prairie à Nouche.
Does anybody want to try and guess what Samson said? Or are you still working on your sentences?
Will you say it again, Samson?
Uh-huh. Guy n'atteint mon fusil pour un vache de prairie à Nouche.
Something about getting the rifle to shoot a buffalo now.
That's exactly. He got a rifle to shoot a buffalo today. Yeah. Yeah, good job.
I think it was Vince that shot the buffalo, though.
Sorry, Sean, I meant to write that specifically to you, but yeah, that's how you say if I had. Kishpin na dayan. Oh, shokia toshke, chick, you're all working so hard.
I think I have one, Russ.
All right, what do you got, Nick?
Guy otitena mon fusil en l'air le sofa.
Does anybody want to guess what Nick is saying? Nick, one more time, please. Madon mina etwe.
Guy otitena mon fusil en l'air le sofa.
Any guesses?
You keep your gun above your sofa?
Close. So it'd be I grabbed my gun from above the sofa.
Yeah, o tehtanaz, grab. Yeah. Yeah. Good job, Nick. That's perfect. And Nick did something really clever there, which is that, and my old people do this all the time. When there isn't a word in Michif for something, they take the word in English and they say it in a Michif way, like sofa.
Well, I got that from the app.
It's true, yeah. In fact, when I was driving today, we passed the home hardware, and my uncle Larry, who's a fluent speaker, he said, "To where then, home hardware?" That made me laugh. Keep up in, I laughed. In home hardware. Anybody else ready to give us a sentence?
I've got one.
Okay.
So this is a true story we just learned about my great granduncle. Oh, so that gives you a little hint. Qui piche capateo li poil d'animaux avec un fusil en Manitoba.
Oh. Madon mina atoi. Can you say it one more time?
Yeah, and I'm busy. Qui piche capateo li poil d'animaux avec un fusil en Manitoba.
Great job. Anybody
Or
want to take
Manitoba?
Anybody want to take a guess what she's saying? I'll give you a hint because we haven't learned this word yet. She said la poêle. La poêle is the skin of an animal.
And the word that I found on the app, pishkapatum, is guard.
So what do we think the whole sentence is saying?
Qui pishkapateo li poil d'animaux avec un fusil dans Manitoba.
Your uncle guarded animal furs or pelts in Manitoba?
With a rifle.
With a rifle. So maybe he worked for the Hudson Bay Company or the Northwest Company?
Did, yeah, for Hudson Bay Company.
Awesome.
Great granduncle, not uncle. That's not that long ago.
Good.
Mon uncle.
When it's that far back, you can say nimoshum. once you're past great uncles, they're all mushums. Nimoshum. Good job. That was perfect conjugation. Yeah, he, and ending with the AO there. Good job.
I have kind of a silly one that's not nearly as impressive as the previous one.
Silly are the best.
Ni ushitan infusi avec mi doigt.
What's he saying? I'll give you a hint. He said mi doigt. Madon mina atoi, Stephen. One more time, please.
Ni ushitan un fusil avec mi doigt.
You stop a rifle. Sorry.
You make something with your fingers?
Yeah, I said I'm making a gun with my fingers.
Pew pew pew.
Oh.
Pow pow. I got you, Robert. That was good. That was perfect. Anybody else? These are great, by the way.
I got one, I think.
Okay.
N'écoute fusil en pour de Paris hier matin.
Okay. One more time, please.
N'écoute fusil en pour de Paris hier matin.
Okay. Any guesses? No guesses. You're gonna have to tell us, Aaliyah.
I heard a rifle shot across the prairie in the morning or something.
Is that right, Aaliyah?
Yeah, I shot a prairie chicken yesterday morning.
Good job. Was it good? Was it delicious? Was it weekish? I know you're joking. It's okay. Somebody else want to give us a sentence? Shanna, do you have one?
No, I missed too many verb classes the last week. I'm out of verbs.
That's okay.
I think I have one.
Okay, great.
Gi mishiminen and fize tashpi and fi.
Okay. Madon mina etwe. One more time, please.
Gi mishiminen and fize tashpi ni and petite fille or and fille petite.
Okay. Guesses?
You was it mended something for your grandson at the a rifle? That's a shot in the dark.
It's a good guess. Is she right?
No. I think the verb would be held.
Yes. So you're saying michiminen.
Michiminen. I probably said that wrong. Is tashpi when?
It is. Okay. Yep. Yeah, okay. And that one's an important one to get right because you said mishiminen enfizi, which is I pooped a gun. We don't want you pooping guns. Michiminen, I held it. Michiminen. God, that would be painful, pooping a gun. Jeez.
Wait, how do you say pooped?
Mishi, yeah.
Mishi. You should be really careful with the word held.
You have to be super careful with that word for sure. You know, and the weird thing is that they made about 20 words that sound like that. If you change one emphasis, you end up pooping. Don't do that. No, that was good. Good job. So tell us one more time what the sentence is.
Oh, what it means?
Yeah.
That I held a rifle when I was a little girl.
Good job.
And we were shooting skeet, but I didn't know how to say that. I didn't know how to say that.
So the verb to sheet or to sheet, the verb to shoot is tahkonen. Tahkonen. So if you're saying I am shooting, it would be ne tahkonen, and if you shot, it would be gi tahkonen. I can put that in the chat, actually. Tahkonen is to shoot. I shoot. Good. Anybody else want to give it a go?
I've got one, I think.
Okay.
G michiminan ein fizi on narrière ein port.
That's good. One more time.
G michiminan ein fizi. Fizi on narrière ein port.
Good. What did she say? So we know it's the past because she said gi, and then she said michiminen, which we just learned means to hold something, right? So she held something.
A rifle.
Rifle.
Mm-hmm. Behind the door?
Behind the door?
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, come.
I couldn't think of anything else. I was going to say behind my back, but I didn't know how to actually say that.
Sorry, how to say what?
Can you say it like behind your back?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And narrière and do or something?
Yep.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's good. Okay, I'm going to give you a new verb just before we end here. And so you're only going to have about 30 seconds to write this sentence, but I'll give you a good one here. Close my eyes. Oh. You probably would struggle with prodigy. By the way, the verb for prodigy is which literally means someone who knows everything. Anyway, let's do, how about profit? Profit. The word profit is le profit. Le profit. Profit, as in like money making. Profit. Not like you're a prophet coming to save us. You want to give that a shot? I'll give you a hint. We learned a verb today that would go very well with le profit. Yes, thank you, Amel. Amel is reminding us that the recordings are found on the Reconciliation Regina website. If I was you, I would maybe use the verb osheta. But that's just me. Okay, I know I only gave you literally 30 seconds, but anybody want to give it a try?
I got one.
Okay.
Gishushque pinekan pour le profit.
You're a private dancer?
Jigging, not that kind.
You have a lot of skill sets.
Yeah,
no, I should have said mon ami Danielle, because she's quite the dancer.
Oh.
And I won money at Potash last year.
Oh. Second place last year in the adult dance competition. I'm a bragging.
Ginatan and Prafi, you got a profit. Good job. Yeah, the word that Samson was sharing with us is shushkwe pinakan. It means to dance hard. It can be any dance, but for Michifs, it usually means jigging hard. Shushkwe pinakan. I dance hard. Yeah. Good job, you guys. Those were some very interesting sentences. And I can't believe we turned profit into a sentence, but we did it. Give me a toten. We're deadly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So if you haven't been keeping an eye on the chat, Amel has shared the link for the survey. It's a Survey Monkey that you can fill out. And hopefully that will help Amel and Regina Public Library to plan for future classes if they're in this language or any other language. But Amel, did you want to say anything else about that? Oh, you're muted, Amel. Oh, no, you weren't muted, but for some reason we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you, Amel.
Hello?
There we go.
Yes. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so last time they asked my coworker if we have the recording on our website, but we don't have it. We send it to Reconciliation Regina every session, and they have it on their website. So if you'd like to check the Reconciliation Regina website for the recording. And we are done tonight.
Yeah, merci, Amel.
Yeah. It was a good session. I would like to learn everything, but I don't know. It's kind of too much for me. Yeah.
Slow and steady.
Thank you, Russ, for sharing your expertise with us. And thank you, everyone, for joining. If you have any questions, let us know. You can call 306-777-6000 if you have any questions. And good night, everyone.
Kawapa mitnawa, lutsamen. See you next week.